In academic writing, claims without concrete evidence are treated as mere guesses, and in higher education, guesses get dismissed. Today, we are going to learn how to tear apart a published academic argument and use its raw components to build a defensible response paragraph of your own. Grab a notepad and a sample text from your current coursework. You'll need them to follow along as we apply this process. Moving from a weak assumption to a persuasive academic stance depends on the specific structural formula we are about to break down. Step 1 is extraction. You need to pull the author's main claim out of the text without getting distracted by all the supporting details. This reading passage explores the proposed links between criminality and intelligence. Specifically, it looks at IQ tests. If we scan past the background information, we find the core claim in this specific sentence. The author argues that IQ tests measure comprehension, vocabulary, and class bias, rather than innate intelligence. Now for step 2, splitting that identified argument into 2 distinct functional pieces. Every argument has a foundation, called the premise, and a resulting claim, called the conclusion. For example, if someone says, "His father is a criminal, so he will become one," the premise is the father's criminal history, and the conclusion is the son's predicted behavior. Let's apply that exact equation to our highlighted text about IQ testing. The underlying premise here is that the skills measured by an IQ test represent a specific, learned cultural skill. The resulting conclusion the author draws from that premise is that IQ tests therefore measure class bias. Forcing an argument into this 2-part equation prevents you from confusing the author's starting background facts with their actual debatable claim. Step 3 is evaluating the specific evidence the author uses to connect their premise directly to their conclusion. You can determine the strength of their evidence by looking at their choice of evaluative language. Notice how the verbs used present the author's stance. Argued or claimed present a strong position, whereas doubt or allege signal weak evidence. Scanning the adjectives reveals the same pattern. Valid or sound signal strong evidence, while invalid or questionable serve as red flags. Search your own text for these specific evaluative words to see if the author's evidence holds up to scrutiny. That brings us to step 4, drafting a balanced response based on the evidence you just evaluated. To do this effectively, we use a practice called academic hedging. This is the process of avoiding absolute certainties in favor of measured, evidence-based probability. This blue box outlines the specific grammatical tools used to hedge an argument. It highlights modal verbs like might, adverbs like arguably, and impersonal phrases like it could be argue-bat. Without these tools, writing can sound overly direct and unacademic, like claiming, "The study proves IQ tests are biased." By applying a hedging phrase, we restructure that statement into, "It could be argued that the study suggests a potential class bias in IQ testing." Combining scrutinized evidence with deliberate hedged verbs elevates your response from a simple assumption to a credible academic stance. Take a look at the final paragraph you have constructed through this exercise. We can break this text down to see all the necessary elements: the clear premise, your evaluated evidence, and your precise hedging verbs. The process remains consistent. Extract the claim, split it into premise and conclusion, evaluate the evidence, and hedge your response. This exact formula provides the essential mechanical structure for the critical thinking that is required in all levels of higher education. Apply this exact 4-step formula to a reading assignment in your own major this week to see the difference it makes in your analysis.